for that. Right now, we're joined by my friend Dave Ray. He has been dealing with this immigration issue as he does all the time. And Dave, I appreciate you joining us from FAIR today. How are you?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of talk. I think I had somebody from the Center for Immigration Studies on who was taking a look one time at the number of active terror cases in the country.
Right.
And everybody always poo-poos the idea that immigration or illegal immigration or refugees play a big role in that, but it may be bigger than a lot of people think.
Well, yeah, it is a lot bigger, and CIS is quite a reputable organization. They actually released a study a while back, and then there have been a number of stories on it since. But, according to the FBI, more than 300 people who came here as refugees are under investigation for potential terrorism-related activities. These are people who are supposedly amongst the most vetted in the world, according to the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees. Now, even more interesting than that, so they're under investigation for potential related terrorism. If you look at the 6 countries covered by President Trump's second admittance freeze on refugees that was stopped by the courts, if just those 6 countries, 53 individuals from those 6 countries have been convicted in terror cases in the U.S. since 9/11. So this is not a figment of someone's imagination. This danger does exist. If you don't believe it from 9/11, let me tell you and remind you again, there are people out there who would like to come in this country for no other reason than to do harm to Americans, and they're coming in any way they can. ISIS has said again and again they will use the refugee streams to infiltrate the West. The question is, will we be dumb enough or arrogant enough to allow them to do that?
I fear that the answer is yes, because we've got a judiciary that's been filled with feeble liberal minds who want to legislate from the bench and decide things based on emotion and not the law. That's my biggest concern about this.
These judges, the judge out in Hawaii is trying to convey the constitutional right of freedom of religion onto people who are not U.S. citizens in other countries who simply are applying to come here as a visitor. You have to be an American citizen to enjoy constitutional rights. The entire world doesn't have constitutional rights. Otherwise, when we went to war with somebody, we couldn't disarm them because we would be breaking their constitutional right to own a gun, right?
Yeah, right.
So, this is just ludicrous. But these are judges in our own court system. This might have to go all the way to the Supreme Court to get settled. Thankfully, now it's not a 4-4 split anymore. But with that said, what is scary is that refugee admissions are continuing under a vetting system that is severely flawed. The reason why President Trump chose the countries he chose were not because they were Muslim countries. He chose them because these are countries we have almost no relationship with. Vetting there is almost impossible. We've bombed about half of these countries on this list. How cooperative are they going to be with us in trying to see if we're allowing terrorists in or not? For people who charge that this is a Muslim ban, it doesn't apply to 90% of the Muslims on the planet. And it doesn't apply only to Muslims in those countries. It keeps out Christians, Jews, Muslims, or atheists from 6 countries that he has in his ban. So it has nothing to do with religion. And the left is really running off a deep end on this one. Unfortunately, with these federal judges, they're able to do a lot of damage with these temporary stays that they get on these executive orders.
We're talking to Dave Ray from the Federation for American Immigration Reform. It's fairus.org is their website. I've never found a better analogy than the one that was brought up back during the campaign, that if you don't think this is a problem, fill a bowl with M&Ms and understand that at least 3 of the M&Ms in the bowl are laced with poison. and then grab a handful and eat it. And if you're not worried about picking up one of the 2 or 3, then you should be okay with our current refugee system. The point is, even if there's only 1 or 2 terrorists out of 10,000 that we invite in, and they each go out and kill 40 or 50 or 100 people by driving a truck through the Christmas festival in your town, that should be unacceptable to most Americans. If we can fix that, we should.
Absolutely. It's the same reason why we need to have the border under control and secured. There are a lot of nice people who want to emigrate to the United States, who want to embrace the Constitution and could learn to love America and will seek the American dream and make themselves better and make us better in the process. Yet there are a lot of people who are coming here for the wrong reasons. They're coming here to rape, pillage, rob Americans, to join gangs, to what have you. And so the whole idea, whether you're talking about vetting refugees or border controls, is how do you let in the good people and keep out the bad people? Yeah. Until you have the right things in place, you can't tell the good from the bad until it's too late. Yeah,
there's a big crackdown going on against MS13 somewhere in the country today. I think over on the West Coast. I read about that earlier.
Well, yeah, it's going on in Long Island as well, in New York. But, I mean, so under the Obama administration's catch and release program, if you came to the United States from Central America and you were a teen, you asked for political asylum at the border. There's no background check done on you. They would oftentimes fly you to reunite with your illegal alien relatives somewhere else in the United States. And now, lo and behold, we're finding out that the Obama administration was shuttling around MS-13 people because some of these folks who came in over this border surge in the last few years of his administration end up being MS-13 members. Now we're having spikes in killings in the Washington, D.C. suburbs and the New York City suburbs. And it's all something that, when you allow people to come in without doing a simple background check, regardless if they're 17 or 27, you could be importing a problem. And when you do that, it becomes some innocent American's problem.
Well, the divide is getting greater and greater in this country when you have some common sense states like Texas that take the steps they did against sanctuary cities, and you've also got places like Illinois and California and Oregon and some of these other places that are bending over backwards to help criminals. I mean, it's just... Yeah. I don't know.
They're embracing sanctuary policies, yet they know not who they help.
Exactly.
They know nothing about these illegal immigrants. Why are they here illegally in the first place? Why couldn't they get in through the legal process? We do take over 1 million immigrants a year. Is it because they're felons? Is it because they escaped from prison in their home countries? Is it because they have some communicable disease? I mean, why would we assume that everybody who comes here as an illegal immigrant is coming here for great virtuous purposes? The assumption should be the other way. Why are you here? Why couldn't you go through inspection? What do you have to hide? And so these cities that embrace sanctuary policies are just inviting mayhem and chaos into their own communities. It just turns the whole idea of law enforcement on its head.
Dave, Ray, thank you so much. So let me direct people to the website again, fairus.org, if you want to get more information on their opinions on this or others.
fairus.org. And Mark, it's been great chatting with you.
You bet, Dave.
Have me back.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Appreciate that. Remember what he's talking about there. The case out in California of the family that was returning with their child from Anaheim to Disney, and they get T-boned by an illegal alien driving a truck. And then we find out that he had been deported 10 times. Last time back in October, on October 10th, and he was back in the country and back home by October 20th. That's what you were dealing with under the previous administration. They didn't care, and these sanctuary cities don't care. And this was a dad who admits that it hadn't been an issue to him until it suddenly hit the side of his car at a high rate of speed and T-boned his car and put his child in intensive care. Then the chickens came home to roost, so to speak. This is a serious issue that needs to be addressed legislatively or otherwise, so these people can't keep breaking the rules and putting the rest of us at risk. I tell you what, a few phone calls have come in on the issue of the